Hey guys, Johan here from the Blueprint Podcast. And if you've been following us for a while, we're all about helping people get better in their lives. But once in a while, we get an exciting individual that comes on board to share value. And I'm going to introduce you shortly to an incredible woman who has an interesting story. And one of the main reasons why I really wanted to get her on this podcast was to really share what she does. And it's a very empowering movement. Happy to call her a good friend. And even though we haven't known each other for a while, I think she can provide amazing value within her space. And her name is Lisa Turner. So, Lisa, welcome to the Blueprint Podcast. Hope you're well. And thank you for making the time today.
Wonderful, Johan. Thank you for inviting me. I'm really excited to be here, and I really love what you just said. Actually, we haven't been friends for long, but I feel really connected and really excited to be a part of your podcast. So thank you.
No, that's really cool. I think it's always good to have, really cool people on board. And we've had that many times. But like I said, your story is quite amazing. So if someone asks you, Lisa, what do you actually do in a couple of seconds? How would you describe it to a person that doesn't know you?
Right, excellent. Well, I guess my philosophy is around helping an empowering woman to move through things like trauma, regardless of what that trauma is. I've got my own personal journey through domestic violence and workplace bullying. And I've come to a point in my life where I just want to kind of share, I guess, the skills and the techniques and the learnings that I've had in my recovery journey over the years to empower women to, be able to step into their own and find that balance again.
Awesome. So basically, you help accelerate people's recovery. That's what.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, if we're talking about things like workplace bullying, hopefully stopping people before they get to that burnout and breakdown by just adapting some skills to identify what's going on and to be able to catch themselves before they go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah, awesome. And I know domestic violence is a big thing in
Mm.
our world, and it doesn't matter if you're male or female. I think none of us should be subject to, I guess, domestic violence. And I know you've shared your story to me on a personal level as well. But I
Mhm.
think if there's women out there who can relate to your story, I don't know if you want to share it a bit, but it'll just give someone maybe a bit of an insight onto, you know, what you've been through happens, if that
Yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, absolutely. I guess my story goes back nearly 20 years ago now, where I say that I'm a survivor of domestic violence. I'm not a victim. But, part of the challenge that I had in my headspace during my recovery is, you know, why did this happen to me? Or how did I allow this to happen to me? And that took a long time to reconcile in my own space. And it took me, lots of counseling and learning to understand that I can't control someone else's actions, that I was indeed a victim of someone else's decisions. And once I could get my head around that and work through a process of forgiving myself for allowing it to happen, I then suddenly started to move into my own space and get my power back, I guess. And it's just, I see so many women, people that I know personally, people that I work with. And actually, I shouldn't say women because men as well. And I've actually worked with a couple of men over the years who have shared their story of domestic violence, which really shocked me at that stage to know that men are also victims. And, one in four women um, uh, get affected by domestic violence, but one in nine men do. So it's pretty significant numbers, right? But what I've noticed is that we often get stuck in this loop of, why me, poor me, and that just stops us from living our best lives. And there is a way forward. And yes, it's hard work, but my mission, I guess, is to help people through that. And I say I was one of the lucky ones. Statistics say that it takes 7 attempts to leave a domestic violent relationship.
Mhm.
I got out after 5.
Wow.
Statistics say that it's often that final leaving that is the most dangerous time, and that's when a lot of people lose their lives. Now, I can vouch for that. So when I left after the 5th attempt, we'd been separated for 3 months, and we have a child together. So he was, visiting his son, and I was allowing all that access to take place. And he used that opportunity to get back into my space. I didn't get back together with him, but we were starting to communicate a little bit more openly. And long story short, this man actually kidnapped me, and he held me hostage, and he attempted to kill me, and I managed to escape. And so when we look at those statistics about that being the most dangerous time, I thought I'd been through the worst of it, but little did I know the worst was yet to come.
Yeah.
So, and that's a hard place to recover from. So, I've done that hard work. And for me too, 15 years later, I found myself a victim of workplace bullying. And probably mentally, that was harder to deal with because, again, in my head, I was beating myself up, after everything you've been through, Lisa, how did you allow this to happen to you? You're stronger than this, you're better than this. And again, I had to work through, the tools that I'd learned recovering from domestic violence, that I'm not in control of what these people are doing.
Yeah.
I'm receiving that, and I do have the power to reflect it. And unfortunately, that led to a breakdown at work, and I ended up taking 5 months off work and resetting myself and reminding myself that I am strong. But it's around identifying those, looking at the warning signs. If you're trying to get out of a domestic situation or recover from it, there's just things that we can do and share to help that journey and just, build you up again. Because I think, sorry, I'm probably waffling on a bit.
No, that's awesome. Please. Yeah.
I think, part of that, if you don't recover, right, and if you don't find forgiveness for yourself and for that situation, you don't step into being the best version of you. And if you've got children or other people that you love, you can't show up for them if you're not being the best version of you. And holding on to all of that self-loathing, that even hatred, that kind of torment, reliving those events in your mind, stops you from being blessed. It stops you from receiving abundance and blessing in your life. And if we can, deal with that and then open you up to, if you want to call it the universe, God, whatever, the woo-woo stuff, it's really real. And once you can move through that, you'll just find you're living your best life, and then anything is possible.
Awesome. And I really appreciate you sharing. And I think the key message is, if there's someone who is going through domestic violence, is maybe just to ask for help straight away. And like you said, we do feel shame and guilt for asking for help or whatever it may be, but that's why there's professionals like yourself out there who have been, I know you've been through a traumatic event, and I love how you say that you're more the victor than the victim, but if it wasn't for your strength, Lisa, you couldn't help other people who are going through this. And I'm probably going to be emotional, if I'm being honest with you, and because it's tough to see a woman go through it. And I think, in my belief system, God allows it sometimes so we can share, our journey with other people. And I think you're an incredible woman for, coming on a platform like this and sharing it. And I hope that if there's someone watching this right now going, hey, I need help, you don't need to put up with it. Go get help, reach out to Lisa, to a counselor, psychologist, whatever it may be, and get that help before it's too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And, often I think we are brought up in a society where there's certain things you're not meant to talk about, right? Or like for me, I thought I was educated. I had a great job. I was the general manager of an international freight company. I had a beautiful home. This doesn't happen to people like me. And you really get in your own head. But as I keep saying, it's actually not about you, it's the other person. And it's brave to speak up. And by speaking up to, a few things can happen. If you're in that situation, yes, we can find the right way of getting you help and getting you out and getting you through that. But also, it's by speaking up that we can change the world, right? And for me, that's where hope for the future comes from. When we live in this world where everything, you think, how are our kids going to cope and survive? When we can kind of pay it forward by sharing and being open and being vulnerable and being authentic, there is hope in the future. And there's these younger people can learn skills around it's not okay to behave this way. And I think for me, my son was 16 months old when I finally left, and I remember his father, I call him the donor, he used to say, "It's not my fault, this is how I grew up, my father used to do this." And I remember saying to myself, congratulations, Lisa, you've broken that circle of violence.
Awesome.
It has stopped in that family line. And, my son's now 19 years old. He's a dad himself. And there's not a smidgen of violent tendencies in his blood, because we changed that environment. And I remember taking a deep breath one day and going, I have to leave, because I can't allow this young person to be influenced to grow up to think that this is okay and this is acceptable. Awesome. So I'm really proud of that. And I think,
to
encourage other people in that environment at the moment, if you have children, just look at your kids and ask yourself, is this the life you want from them? If you've got a daughter and, do you want her to grow up and meet a man that's going to treat her that way because she saw her mum being treated like that? Of course you don't. You need to be brave. So
yeah, and that's really nice that you've shared it. Before we just jumped on, we had a bit of a chat prior, and my best friend lost his sister to domestic violence last year. And we had a chat about this today because I wanted to make sure that, we could talk about it and he'll be okay with it. And something that I realized is that when domestic violence happens to a person, it actually has such an impact on other people as well. There's more than one person that goes through that experience. I mean, if it's your children that are around it, maybe you've got parents, you've got brothers and sisters, I guess the chaos around it is so big. And like you said, if we can build some sort of awareness around that traumatic events, it can maybe reduce that impact. And that's what we want to, do as humans, I guess, as well. And the one thing that's really inspiring about you, Lisa, is that you've turned a negative event into a positive situation where you're like, hey, I'm not going to be the victim here. I'm going to be the victor. And I'm going to be able to help someone through what I went through. And I think I love human beings like that. I could sit here and talk about my traumatic events, but it's not about me today. It's about you. But definitely when I coach businesses and organizations and individuals, I use a lot of my personal stories to inspire and help people go to that right direction as well. So where are you going to take this business now? I mean, this is really cool. Where do you see stuff going?
Absolutely. So, everything that I've been through in my life, I kind of figured it can't be for nothing. And I had a bit of a light bulb moment, a few years ago where I needed to use my voice, right? And I could use my voice to help and inspire and empower other people. Yeah. And that's what I've set out to do. So, the business is building. I guess I would just share a little story about why it's called Lions Roar Coaching. And I say I work with women. People go, but a lion's, male. And I'm like, well, it's not. But anyway, I've always had an affinity with lions. And part of my healing journey from the workplace bullying is having been in sales and coming from an era where tattoos were a bit taboo, right? Like, and particularly a woman, there's no way you'd have a tattoo. So I went and got this beautiful big, I can't bend my arm, right?
Nice.
Tattoo of a lion morphed with my face. And it was just, I felt like I was being so badass, I was really stepping out. And when I had this light bulb moment about using my experiences, it was like, it's time to let your lion roar. It's time to use your voice. So that's the kind of backstory there. But where's the business going? I just want to reach as many people as I can anywhere in the world that need help to recover from trauma, that need help to ensure that they don't go down that rabbit hole of burnout and breakdown because of external environments. And a big part of that is reframing self-care as a manifestation of self-love. And, just looking at working with people to bring that abundance of happiness and joy into their lives. And as I just said to you, it's about paying it forward, right? So I'm in my 50s. If I can help someone in their 40s and they help someone in their 30s, and suddenly we've got this group of, young adults in their late teens, early 20s getting this message, there's so much hardship and heartache that they can avoid. So
I love it,
that's
and
my mission.
and I love the lion tattoo as well. I mean, I'm covered. I've got like a
Yep.
heart here, and it always reminds me to be a heart-filled person because it wasn't my story before, I guess. And it's so
Yeah.
great that you've got a big why, and I think it doesn't matter how old or young you are, but having a big why with purpose
Mm.
is so powerful, and
Mm.
just something that really want to bring up again, and you mentioned it, is if you're going through any issues in your life, have a lot of grace on yourself because we do blame ourselves for a lot of things. And
Yeah.
something that I had to work on, Lisa, as well, was forgiveness starts internally before externally. If you can't forgive yourself,
Absolutely.
you're not going to be able to forgive others. So I do
Yeah.
empathize with that as well. So I think it's so
Yeah.
doing as well. So we'll put you,
Thank you.
we're going to put your details on the description tab as well, and your logo and that. And I want people to really like have a look at Lisa's stuff. And if you've got any questions, guys, about domestic violence, we want to know more how you can maybe support, and you need some coaching around it. Just really reach out because I think help is the first step, isn't it?
100%. And that's often the hardest part, is just being brave enough to say, hey, I need some support here. And, we go on that journey together. So whether that's me or someone else, but, I'd love to hear from your listeners if, this has resonated with them. And it may even be that they know someone that needs help and don't quite know the next steps or how to bring it up or how to address it and approach it, so we can work together to move in that space. So
Awesome.
yeah, love to be that vessel.
So, and Lisa, always give the opportunity for a guest. It's a must. It's actually not an opportunity, right? So you can ask me one personal question and one professional question.
Oh,
The
okay.
reason why I allow you to do that is so the viewers can see that this is not scripted. So, and it gives them an opportunity maybe to get me to know me a bit more without me
Yeah, wow.
asking anything. And everyone asks different questions. So one personal and one professional. It can be anything. I'm very transparent. Everything's open, so don't stress. It could be anything.
Okay. Oh, on the spot. Okay. Tell me then. I know that you and your wife have a publishing business.
Yes.
And I've seen your wife on some videos on LinkedIn. How did you guys meet?
Oh, very good question. So this will be a personal question. We've actually known each other since we were 15 years old.
Oh,
And
wow.
basically, she was friends with my relatives, and we were just really cool friends, like growing up. We used to speak and what kind of, but she wasn't my type, and I don't think I was her type. She was quite tall for me. I'm a pretty short guy. I've grown up now, but back then I was very short. But we actually end up meeting in our early 20s at the Derby Day, and we weren't looking for partners or anything like that, and we instantly, connected, and if she's watching this, she'll probably, maybe appreciate it. But I think I did actually fall in love with her the day I met her. Something really beautiful
Oh,
about her as well. And I'm not the most romantic guy on this earth, but there's just something about her, and I thought, I want to spend the rest of my life with her. And we just got to know each other. We were going on dates, and then yeah, we got married, and we've been with each other for about 16 years now. So
oh,
it's so
fabulous.
amazing. So it is a bit of a we're doing really well in modern times to be married for 16 years, and we're growing a lot together, and that's what I really appreciate about her. So if she watches this, I really appreciate that we're growing with each other. That's going to be the
Oh,
most amazing thing. So that's the person.
that's fantastic. I could go down a whole nother little segue on that topic, but that's just fabulous to hear. And you're right, in this day and age, lasting the distance, high five to you guys. What an example, that's fantastic. Okay, business question. So I feel like you have quite a few hats that you wear. You're
Yes.
involved in different things. So what part of your businesses really gives you the most passion, and what's next in that space?
Yeah, awesome. Very good question. Believe it or not, all my businesses I'm passionate about. So I don't do anything that I'm not passionate about. So I make sure that I'm not just doing anything for money, but there's probably two answers to that. So I love really helping businesses make money so they can grow, but I want to make sure that their
Mhm.
staff grow with them as well. I'm very passionate about making people's lives a bit easier within that space. And I've been truly blessed, I'd say, in the last couple of years where it's really blossomed in that, and I really love helping people. But the other part is the publishing side has been such a great vehicle to help a group in Africa called the One Heart Foundation. And even though it's been a very new venture for me, like I really love doing that too. So that's such passion within it as well. And when my wife and I, we invest in properties and as well, we don't think about making money. We think about that there's someone out there who can maybe rent a place at an affordable place. So, going back to your question, I love what I do to the brim with every single thing, and everything gets 100% not split. There's no balance with me. Everything's 100%. So I love everything I do, if I'm being honest with you. I'm passionate about everything.
Oh, I just love that. And I love that you come from your heart, right? That's just so important. And that's probably only something that I've personally realized in the last few years, that there's no point doing anything unless it's from your heart, unless it's something, it doesn't become work then, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so many people are not fortunate enough to, work that out. And in one of my little programs, I, work with women to redefine their success based, that aligns with their values and their goals, and identify those. So then you can hopefully have a light bulb moment and go, you know what, I'm meant to be doing this, not that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and I just find what you just shared really inspiring. So thank you for sharing that.
And look, probably, Lisa, the where it's manifested in the last 5 years. I've chatted to you before that. I'm a big believer in Jesus, and for me, that's my universe. I mean, you can have the universe, you can go for the Essendon Bombers if that's going to make you think as a high power. Moon, I don't really care what anyone follows, as long as they follow something that's higher than them. I think you're on the right path. But for me, following Jesus has been the part where it's made me really focus on people more. And it's something I still need to learn. And I'm not trying to preach here, but I'm just saying, for me, that's been my overarching mission in life. And I just hope that if someone is lacking anything, just find something. Find something that is bigger than you, and you'll be fine in life. But Lisa, again, thank you very much for coming on board today. Appreciate it. And guys, if you're watching us, subscribe, like, and share. This channel keeps on growing as well. And follow Lisa on, email her, look at her website, stay in contact. And Lisa, you're an amazing woman. Amazing.
Thank you.
And I don't really get emotional on this, but you're probably one of the first people that got me almost teary. And you're very brave to share your story. And it's been a pleasure meeting you as well. And also thank you for being a support with what we've been doing as well.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you for having me. It's been a real pleasure, and I've learned a lot from you today as well. Even more. I love it. Love it. We're aligned. I love it.
We're aligned. So guys, future is bright. Keep kicking goals, and we'll see you next week on The Blueprint. Take care.